You know how sometimes you'll be doing all of the things that you're supposed to be doing in order to build your online course business, but you're still not getting really good results? And for years, I've been trying to figure out why that is. So today, we are digging deep into what could also be going on with my guest. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Hello there. I'm so thrilled that you could be here for today's episode of the Course Creators HQ podcast. This has been one of the episodes I've been wanting to do for months and months and months because you're going to love today's guest. She is my coach and my master mindset coach. I'd like to introduce you to Erica Ross-Krieger. She is a master business coach and EFT expert, and she's helped me through so many things over the past, oh my gosh, we didn't count up. I think it's been like at least 15 years that we've known each other. So I wanted to help you guys and make sure you heard from Erica for a couple different reasons. I tend to focus on the external things that you guys can do to build your courses. So I will focus on here's how to build your course. Here's how to build your landing pages. Here's how to reach your audience. All those tactical, strategic things that you do. But I have noticed with some of my students that I will have a student that will do everything I tell them and do all the steps that they're supposed to from a tactical perspective. And then I'll have another student who does the very same thing, but they don't get results when the first one did. And I kept trying to figure out, what is that? What are they missing? What am I not teaching them? What is the tactical thing that I need to give them? And I finally realized that there is inner mindset work that they need to be thinking about. And I do not teach that. So I'm bringing you my very favorite expert on inner mindset work, Erica Ross-Krieger. Hey, welcome, Erica. Thank you so much for being here today.
Julie, thank you for having me. I just am delighted to be able to talk with you and your audience.
Yes. So we've got some good stories to share with you. And I want to actually start with, because I think my audience will love this, one of my personal experiences over the past couple of months that you were so helpful with. So I had decided that I was going to launch the 24-hour course creator program on January the 11th. We were going to start. And I even did the podcast episode about it, released, said we're starting on January the 11th. And we got into the week before, and I was not excited, not thrilled with how the launch went. On top, that was also on top of all the U.S. Capital things that were going on, and it just didn't feel right anymore. But I had already told people that that was going to be the date that we started. And so I remember specifically calling you, Erica, and saying, help, what do I do about this? I'm not happy. Can you help me? So tell everybody what you noticed and how you helped, because you guys will know we didn't start on the 11th. We started on the 25th of January. So
and you were so happy that we did.
Yes.
So let me start by saying this. The number one place to start with anybody is for me to really look at how they're getting in their own way. And that is really the bulk of the work I do, is if we can shine a spotlight on how someone is getting in their own way, that in and of itself begins to make a shift. One of my mentors, Rick Carson, who wrote the book Taming Your Gremlin, talks about what he says is the Zen theory of change. And that is that I make a shift simply by noticing how I'm imprisoning my own self. So what we did, Julie, actually was to help you reduce your cortisol levels, because the truth of the matter is you were pretty stressed out about a lot of things. I mean, things that were going on in the United States, things that were going on with you having to hit this deadline you self-imposed. And so, right. So your cortisol levels were high. And what happens when our cortisol levels are high is it hijacks the part of our brain that is our sage, that gives us wise guidance, that is our inner course creator, if you will, that is our rock star, right? And so the first thing I did was to have you understand that you, by imposing that date, were causing yourself a lot of stress. The next thing we did was to really help you unravel the lie, if you will, that you were telling yourself, which was, I told people about this, so therefore I have to do it. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
we had to undo a lot of beliefs around that. And I'm not going to, give everything to everybody right now about every single step we took, but we had to unravel that and and have you understand that what was the ideal? What did you want? What did you really want? Not what you didn't want, right? So I know I'm
Exactly.
talking a little law of attraction stuff here. For some of your listeners are familiar with that. It's just a side note, which is focusing on what you want versus what you don't want is really the key to being in alignment with what you want. And so I asked you, what do you want? You said, I want more space. I want more time. I said, well, okay, what would the ultimate be? And then you named it. And then we stepped into it. And just by naming that, you took a big, deep breath, your whole, I could hear it on the phone, even though I couldn't see you. Your whole breathing relaxed. You sounded like a different person.
Exactly. And I could not get there by myself. Like I needed you to get me there from where I was because I felt so obligated because I had told a lot of people, January the 11th, January the 11th. So thank you so much because the launch went way better that I extended it a couple weeks. It went so much better anyway. Plus I was more excited and happy about it. So just all around, giving I think you gave me permission that it was okay to not follow through with what I'd originally said. So thank
Right.
you
And
for
that
that.
was the key block for you. Everybody's got their own blocks, but that was the key block for you, which is, I said this, I have to do it. And you are
Yeah.
causing yourself living heck.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much for that. So that's just so for the listeners out there, that's just one of the many, 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 many scenarios that Erica has graciously walked me through and helped me get past my own blocks that are getting in my way. So I am curious, Erica, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the other blocks that you've seen course creators and experts have, some of the ones that are getting in their way? What have you seen?
Sure. And I can talk to it from, you've helped me and I've gone through Course Creators Program and loved it. And I saw my own block. So I can talk about it from being on the inside of being a course creator, as well as working with some of your course creators who get stuck, right? You watch them, they launch and probably some of your listeners here too. They go out of the gate like a horse in the Kentucky Derby and they're ready to go around the track, and then boom, somewhere around the track, their excitement peters out, or their momentum stops. So, one of the things that people really throw in their way that stops them, and notice I'm saying this, they stop themselves. We stop ourselves. It's not external conditions. We stop ourselves. And one of them is, we'll call it perfectionism. And that is, oh my gosh, I can't launch this course until I've got it perfect, until every T is crossed, every I is dotted, every video is perfect. My makeup looks right, my hair looks right, I've got the lessons in order, and on and on. I've got the right equipment, and on and on. And that, let perfection get in the way of productivity.
Yes. As a
Num-
recovering perfectionist, I can totally relate to that.
right. And it's not something that you can just say to someone, okay, stop being a perfectionist, just get on with it, because it's usually very deep seated. And that's some of the work that I do with EFT, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, but that is one of the blocks. A second one I talk about is an inner saboteur, if you will, that is either afraid of success or afraid of failure. So things are going along, there's momentum, there's whole bit. Now, it doesn't always show up like that. Like people might not come forward and say, Julie, I got to put the brakes on here. I'm afraid of success. That's not really
That's not
what
what
you're
I
going
hear.
that's
No.
not what you're going to hear out of their mouth. More than likely, they might say, I'm afraid I'll fail, or I'm afraid that this isn't going to go well. But if we dig a little deeper, we find out what would happen if this were to really succeed. And what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of more visibility? Are you what is it? And let's deal with that one. But sometimes it's fear of success, sometimes it's fear of failure, but that can sabotage forward motion without you even really recognizing it.
So could that be what's happening sometimes? Let's say I have, like right now, we've got the 24-hour course creator going on. And in the past, I've had some students that start out of the gate so well, but then a week or 2 weeks into our hourly, daily, they just fall off the planet and disappear. And so I'm going to, hey, come back, come back. But could that be some of the things that's happening to them, you think?
Sure. Or self-doubt, right? But underneath that might be the fear of success or failure. But sometimes people don't even understand what it is that got them off track, or what belief was in the way there. They know they started out well, they know they started out excited, and then 50 million things come up, life and other meetings, and oh, it's not important now. You dig a little deeper and it is important. And either self-doubt crept in, or again, that fear of success or failure. And then there is a third block that I've seen with course creators, and it's around the area of pricing. Now, I know we can talk a lot about this one, but I've seen people get so hung up. Do I charge this amount? Do I charge that amount? Oh no, is that too much? Oh no, is that enough? Oh, will people buy it? Will they? Oh no, I don't want to charge that little for this much. I could probably, you could probably name 50 versions of what you've heard there, but I'll just lump it into the area of pricing. And I think that one of the ways that people get in their way is that they have bought into a money myth. And
Ooh.
one of those money myths that I think is beneath the pricing thing is the belief, the myth is, I have to ask for money. That's a myth. The fact is, no, you don't. And I'll see if I can explain this a little better. So when you walk into your favorite store, I don't, where you shop, whether it's Nordstrom or Macy's or something, there are not price tags on items with question marks. They don't say 228. Do you want to pay that? Right? Right. There's not question marks on price tags. There's just a price tag. And you either decide you're going to buy that item or you're not going to buy that item. You're going to shop in that store. You're not going to shop in that store. I mean, you may gripe if you don't like the price and buy it anyway. You may gripe and not buy it, but nobody's asking you for the money. They're simply stating what it is. And that is a mindset shift that many course creators need to come to, which is going from feeling like they're begging for this money versus just saying this is what it is.
I
Now,
love that.
you've heard me talk about pass the salt before, so should I throw that in here?
Yes, yes, please. I love that example.
All right. So when we're, let's say, when we're at the moment while we're recording this, we're a lot of us sheltering in place. So let's say that that's not going on. And you're at a large Thanksgiving dinner, and the salt shaker's at the other end of the table, and Sally's sitting in front of it, and you say to Sally, pass the salt. Or would you pass the salt? Fully expecting that Sally's going to pass the salt. Not like, oh, if it, if you feel like it, or you don't think she's going to say no. You just like, this is what I need. I need the salt shaker. I like, get it on down here, whatever, the pepper, whatever, or the Tabasco sauce, but you fully expect it. I think what happens with course creators, especially with some of their first courses, they put a price on it and it's like, is this okay? It's like you're not asking for it. It's just, this is what it is. And
Right.
the people who are meant to be in your program will pay that amount. The people who aren't won't. Does that mean that you might not need to shift up the amount at some point or work around with it to get it to the right place over time? But you're never going to know until you just put the price down. That's it. And just say, this is what it is.
So if I'm a course creator who I know I'm struggling with pricing, what would you recommend that I do in order to, I want to have a high price and feel confident and comfortable with the price that I'm charging? So what would you suggest?
So everybody's got their own definition of high price, right? So
That's true.
I think we need to start with the person with what ultimately, what is it that you want to charge for this course?
Oh,
That's
you
it.
want
No, I'm
asking.
not saying you, but you said, where would you start? That would
Oh,
be where
okay.
I'd start, would be, okay, Sam, ultimately, like, put everything aside. What do you want to charge for this course? Not what does your funnel look like, what's leading up to it, what are they going into next? But given this course, given the value of this course, of what you're offering, of what the transformation is, because that's what people pay for, is the transformation, not all of the content. What's the transformation? Your time that you're putting in to help with that transformation. What do you want to be charging? And then we go into the next level of, what are your blocks to that? And then I might pull in my EFT stuff, which, if you want to talk about, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah. Can you tell everybody about EFT? What is that exactly, and how do you use it? And then I want to tell everyone about what you've got coming up over the next couple weeks too. So,
Cool. Cool. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, otherwise known as tapping. And the short version of a long story is, it's been around the world for at least 30 years now. And it is based on ancient principles of Chinese medicine, like goes back 5,000 years. Same principles behind acupuncture and acupressure. The idea being that there are key points in the body in this particular system, that if we gently tap on them, and the points are located on the face and the torso, with two fingers, that we're actually activating what's called the meridians, or the places where chi energy flows through the body, the same way that either acupressure or acupuncture would activate those meridians. And by gently tapping on those particular spots in a particular sequence, we actually lower cortisol levels. Cortisol being the fight or flight, right? We've talked about it before, but the fight or flight hormone that kind of takes over your brain and gets in the way of your clear thinking. So, by gently tapping on these points and saying particular things that help you shift your mindset, we actually can clear some blocks. So, even with regard to the pricing. So, that's a short version of what EFT is, but there's plenty more I can talk about.
yeah. So, and I want to jump in with everyone too and say that I actually am not a huge EFT fan, but you still, even without me doing the actual tapping, I still get so much from all the work that I do with you. So,
Yeah,
why is that?
let me say that I actually should have started with that as well. Some people are not fans of taking their fingers and tapping on their body. However, the work has been scientifically proven, and it does work. And if I can encourage anybody to do it, I will. If not, I'll ask them to gently place their hand on those points without the tapping and still say the words. And yet others don't even want to do that, but they're willing to close their eyes, tune in, say the words, which are a bit of self hypnosis, and begin to unwind old patterns simply by using the words that I use when I have them tap. And that's really what's worked with you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that there are
Yes.
others who just don't want to be tapping, but they do understand the benefit. And some of them will place their hand on their different points on their chest or on their face. And some will just simply say the words. And the work I do is based on neuroscience and with repetition and with using your body in a particular way with a particular physical stance that I might ask you to take. For example, if you're hunched over, worried about your pricing, you're not going to come up with your right pricing. If you were
Mm.
hunched over as you were, worried about a launch date that wasn't the right launch date, until I have you take a deep breath, accentuate that hunching, undo the hunching, open your chest, take a deep breath, and get into the new stance of here I am launching it the way I want to, or here I am launching it in the price I want it to be, things aren't going to shift. So somehow the body's got to get involved in this. And that somatic work is also a background of what I do.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, like you and I have only talked about this a little bit. I know you have a ton of training in all of this. Tell us a little bit about some of the training that you've taken or what you've because you bring
Sure.
so many different things to the table. I know there's coaches that will have one thing that they use, but I know every time I talk to you, you have a new technique or a new strategy for us to work on. I love it.
Yes, I do have quite a toolkit, and that's what I love. And in fact, I know we'll be talking about both the master class and my upcoming uh, 10-day money mindset makeover. Both of those uh, include a lot of different modalities, but some of them are neuroscience based on some of the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza and others in that realm. Some of it is the EFT, some of it is the work of Rick Carson, who wrote Taming Your Gremlin. Some of the work is cognitive behavioral therapy, and some of it is my 15 years of actually studying somatic based therapy or body based therapy, as well as my years of being a master coach. So I sort of pull it all together along with law of attraction work and affirmation. So it's, I think what makes my work different is it's the combination of a lot of things so that I'm bringing it's a whole body approach, body, mind, spirit, a whole being approach to sound a little woo woo on you, but I do bring in all the different layers.
Yes, yes. And I think another thing that I know you've done for me and you've done for a lot of when I've gone through the 10-day money mindset with your rest of your students, one of the things that you're really, really good at is holding the space of what it is we are wanting, even if maybe we don't think we can get there or do it. Like you have this amazing talent for being able to see it and believe it. And I don't know, you can probably describe it better. I just know that I have used that a lot.
Thank you. I believe in with all my heart that for somebody else to help us hold the space until we can hold it for ourselves, there's nothing greater. And by that I mean this, and a lot of different law of attraction people will also talk about it. When we focus on what we want, as I've said before, versus what we don't, then we're more in alignment with that thing already happening. So I know that Esther Hicks from Abraham Hicks talks a lot about, well, don't keep going out to the garage looking for what isn't there, right? You want this hot new car and that's what you want, but you keep going out to the garage noticing that it's not there. That's not going to help you. So I hold the space in the money mindset program, in the even the master class, for what people want until they can totally put their focus on that, because more often than not they're looking at the other end of the stick of what isn't there at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've teased it a lot. Let's tell everyone about the things that you have coming up. First is the masterclass to help them uncover their money and wealth blocks. And this is free, everybody. So I want you to go to coursecreatorshq.com/28, and I'm going to have all the links in there for all the things that we're talking about. But tell everybody about this masterclass, Erica.
Sure, that'll be on February 11th this time, and it is free. And we're calling it Tapping into Wealth. That is another area of training. By the way, I was trained by Margaret Lynch Rainier, who is the author of the book Tapping into Wealth, and I am a certified Tapping into Wealth coach. We're going to help you uncover your key money blocks, and there's a particular technique I use to help you do that. And we'll also do some EFT tapping to help you clear them. And it's a really powerful way of setting the stage for opening up and stepping into new levels of wealth. And then there's also on February 15th, the launch of this year's 10-day money mindset makeover. And Julie, I know I'm sure you want to say something about it. You've done this one before, and I invite you to do it again as I invite other students. It's something I do myself every year, twice a year. I go through the exact same thing. And when people hear, oh my gosh, it's a 10-day course, I don't have the time. Well, yes, you do. It's 20 minutes a day. And and I'm
Yes.
asking you to do two different things each day. And one of them you do anyway, and the other is another thing. And you're actually going to be responding to a set of questions every day in a Facebook group. And you're going to be stepping into new layers of wealth as if they already existed. And simply by doing that repetitively, you're setting new neural pathways in your brain and strengthening your belief in what's possible. And that is really the key to the whole thing, is strengthening your belief in what's possible.
And I cannot give you a high enough recommendation for this course. So I'm just going to tell everyone what has happened. Actually, every time I've gone through it with you, first of all, it's really, really fun. And I know I can't spill the beans because part of it is how it unfolds for people as they're going through it. But it's really a
Yeah.
fun 10 days. I have such a good time.
Let's name one thing
with
though.
it. So
It does involve an experiential game. And it's a funny thing, but we learn best and we put aside a lot of judgments when we're playing games. And it does involve a game, experiential.
there you go. Yes, yes, very, very. So I will, and I want to tell everybody now, obviously I'm not saying that this will happen to you. We're not making any kind of income claims or money claims or anything like that. I'm just giving you what happened to me because I know this doesn't happen with all of your students, Erica. But every time I go through this, I get new clients and I make more money. And I don't know what the magic is. I haven't figured it out, except that every time you offer it, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. I'm ready for it. So, and I know you have other students who have a lot of success too. So
Yeah.
how, do you have a story or two that you want
Sure.
to share from someone else? I have, I've had lots of success with
And
getting
again,
new
I'll say
clients.
the same thing you
So
did. I can't promise anything other than you will increase your belief in what's possible. Now, what happens with that? I have people who said, oh my God, Erica, that month following that course, I did more for my business financially than I did the whole year before. I have had that. I've had people say
wow.
they received an inheritance they weren't even expecting from some long lost somebody or other. I've had people say, I was struggling to accomplish something and all of a sudden I accomplished it. I wrote my book. I got a publisher. All kinds of different manifestations of wealth, how people define that to be, and not all of us define it as money, but a lot of times in this particular course, since it is focused on money mindset, that's what's happened. People find money, people increase their wealth because they're set up for getting out of their own way.
Yes. Okay. And you help us do that. So, the two things, so it's the Tapping into Wealth Masterclass and the 10-day Money Mindset Makeover Program. And I will link to both of those in the show notes at coursecreatorshq.com/28. You'll be able to find those links. So, thank you so much, Erica, for jumping in to do this week's podcast with me. And before we go, I'd like it if you have one thing that you could give everyone that they can leave this episode with that they could do to kind of help them if they've got some blocks, or what's something that you would
All right.
recommend or
So,
suggest?
I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write down the amount of money that you would like to bring in from your next course, whatever amount that is.
Okay, I'm going to do it
from
too.
Either the whole enchilada. What do you want to bring in? Okay. Now what I want you to do is 10 times that. So 10x it. Okay.
Oh my. Okay.
And I want you
Fantastic.
to write down the statement. I brought in whatever that 10 times amount is from my course.
Okay.
Then I want you to list every single thing in your mind that comes up the second you say that out loud. That'll never happen. I'll have to work too hard. Now, if there's none of that, then that means it's not high enough. Then I want you to 20 times it. I want you to purposely make it so high that it forces blocks to come up so you can really look at what they are, because those blocks are already there, even for the amount before you 10x'd it.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So I think we'll start with that, is just begin to see what the blocks are. And then, join us in masterclass and we'll tap on some of them. In fact, even when you go sign up for the masterclass, you're going to get a free 19-minute video of me doing an introduction to tapping. So you could, even before the masterclass, take some of those beliefs and tap on them just with that free video you're going to get.
Oh, yes. So absolutely, everybody jump on that. Make sure you get signed up for the masterclass. And thank you for this exercise, because I totally agree with you that sometimes just figuring out what's getting in the way, once you figure out what it is, then you can think about addressing it and how to fix it or change it or however you want to go. But you have to know
now
what
I'm going to give them one other tip, and that is I call them my 2 power words. And I usually don't give it away until the masterclass, but what the heck, let's do it now. I'll say it again. And these 2 words are power words, because what you've written down is, I brought in this much money, and then you got all your blocks down below. But I want you to consider looking at those blocks and let's say some of them that are listed there are, I'll never do that. I'll never bring that in. It's not worth it, whatever. And precede every one of those with the 2 power words, until now.
Ooh, I love this.
Until now, I'd have to work hard. I believed I had to work hard for my money. Until now, I believed that was more than I could bring in. Until now, all of that.
Yes.
Just precede every single one with until now.
Thank you so much for giving that away to my audience, because that is a powerful phrase.
Yeah.
And for taking the time to constantly remind me to use it when we talk.
Until now.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Erica. I know the audience is going to love this, and especially since this is not what they usually hear from me. So I hope it's as helpful for you guys that are listening as Erica has been for me. So thank you so much for doing this, Erica. I really
you're welcome. We'll maybe do more in the future.
Yes, that would be fun. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for jumping in and leaving us a review. Those 5-star reviews make me do happy dances in my office. So I so appreciate you and listening and giving me this space on your phone and in your earphones every week. Thank you so much. Have a great week, and I will catch you next time.